The rain hammered down like God's own judgment, turning the cracked parking lot of Grace Evangelical Church into a shallow, muddy river that swallowed Austin's sneakers whole. "You're no son of mine anymore. Get out, you filthy sinner," Pastor Elias Hale bellowed from the shadowed doorway, his Bible clutched like a shield, voice cracking not with regret but with the thunder of self-righteous fury. Austin, just 16, stood frozen, the words slicing deeper than the chill seeping through his thin jacket, his heart shattering into pieces that the storm would never wash away. It had all started innocently enough in the sleepy town of Willow Creek, Nebraska, where cornfields stretched like golden oceans under endless blue skies, and Sundays meant starched collars and sermons that promised salvation if you just believed hard enough. Austin Hale grew up in the shadow of the steeple, literally. The church was his father's kingdom, a squat brick building with a bell tower that chimed hymns at dawn and dusk, drawing in the faithful like moths to a flame. Elias Hale wasn't just a pastor. He was a pillar, the man who married couples, buried the dead, and whispered prayers over fevered brows. To Austin, he was Dad, the one who taught him to ride a bike on the church lawn, who snuck him extra cookies after potlucks, who said grace with a wink that made the words feel like secrets between them. But secrets have a way of unraveling. Austin's first inkling came at 14, during a youth group bonfire. The flames danced high, casting flickering shadows on the faces of kids from school, and that's when he noticed Jordan Ellis. Jordan was the new kid, transferred from Omaha after his parents split, with sun-bleached hair that fell in lazy waves over his forehead and eyes the color of storm clouds, gray and piercing, like they could see right through you. He sat cross-legged on a log, strumming an old guitar, his voice low and gravelly as he sang some folk tune about lost highways. Austin couldn't look away. It wasn't the song. It was the way Jordan's fingers moved over the strings, deliberate and gentle, like he was coaxing confessions from the wood itself. From then on, Austin found excuses to orbit him. Study sessions in the library after school, where Jordan would doodle comics in the margins of their history notes, superheroes with capes made of rainbows, villains with pitchforks. Walks home along the dirt roads, kicking gravel and talking about everything and nothing. How Jordan missed the city's buzz, how Austin dreamed of designing buildings that touched the sky, not this flatland monotony. "You got architect hands," Jordan teased one afternoon, tracing Austin's palm with his thumb. The touch lingered, electric, and Austin's breath hitched. He pulled away, cheeks burning, but the seed was planted. By 15, it bloomed into something undeniable. They stole moments in the church basement during youth group, behind the stacked folding chairs, lips brushing in hurried, desperate kisses that tasted like stolen apples and fear. Jordan's hands were calloused from guitar strings, mapping Austin's skin like uncharted territory, whispering, "This is us, Austin." Real as the stars. Austin believed him, because in those stolen breaths, the world made sense. No sermons about sin, no sideways glances from the congregation. Just them, tangled in the dim light of fluorescent bulbs, hearts pounding in sync. But Willow Creek was a place where whispers traveled faster than prayers. It started with a careless laugh from a youth group girl who'd seen them slip away too many times. Then the notes in lockers. "Faggots in the flock?" Jordan shrugged it off, his rebel streak shining through. "Let him talk. We know what's true." But Austin felt the noose tightening. His father noticed the distance first, the way Austin fidgeted during family devotions, eyes darting to the floor instead of heaven. Elias pulled him aside after a Wednesday night service. Voice soft but probing. "Son, is there something weighing on your soul? The Lord sees all." Austin wanted to confess, to beg for the grace his father preached from the pulpit. But the words stuck like thorns. Instead, he lied, mumbling about school stress, and Elias clapped him on the back, relieved. "That's my boy. Keep fighting the good fight." The guilt gnawed at Austin like termites in old wood, but Jordan was his anchor. They planned escapes in hushed tones, saving pennies for bus tickets to Chicago, where no one knew their names, where they could build a life from scratch. The storm broke on a Friday night in October, the kind of autumn chill that seeped into your bones. Austin's mother, Clara, was visiting her sister in Lincoln, leaving the house echoing with silence. Elias was at a deacon's meeting, so Jordan snuck over, climbing through Austin's window like Romeo in some half-remembered play. They tumbled onto the bed, clothes shedding like autumn leaves, bodies moving with the urgency of kids who knew time was borrowed. Jordan's mouth was hot against Austin's neck, his hand steady where Austin's trembled. "I love you," Jordan murmured into the dark, the words a vow. Austin echoed them back, tasting salt, sweat, tears, the precipice of forever. Downstairs, the front door creaked open early. Elias, home from the meeting with a migraine and a sixth sense for trouble. Footsteps on the stairs, heavy as judgment. The knob turned, and there they were, frozen in the lamplight, sheets twisted like accusations. Elias's face drained of color, then flushed crimson. "What in the name of the Almighty is this abomination?" His voice boomed, shattering the night. Jordan scrambled for his jeans, mumbling apologies, but Elias blocked the door, eyes wild. You've corrupted my son." Austin, naked and exposed, grabbed a pillow to shield himself, heart slamming against his ribs. "Dad, please, it's not like that. I love him." The words hung in the air, a confession and a curse. Elias recoiled as if slapped. "Love? This isn't love, Austin. This is the devil's lie." He lunged forward, not to hit, but to drag Jordan by the arm toward the stairs. "Out, both of you, out of my house." Jordan twisted free, grabbing his shirt, eyes locked on Austin's in silent promise. "I'll wait." But Austin didn't follow. He stood there, paralyzed, as his father shoved Jordan down the steps, the boy's bare feet thudding against wood. The front door slammed, and then it was just them, father and son, the air thick with unspoken wreckage. Elias turned, face a mask of betrayal. "How long, Austin, how long have you been living this? This perversion under my roof?" Tears streamed down Austin's face, hot and unbidden. "Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't choose this. It's who I am." The words tumbled out, raw and pleading. Elias's laugh was bitter, hollow. "Who you are. You're my son, raised in the light of Christ. This is a choice, a sickness. And I won't have it in my home, my church, my life." He grabbed Austin's arm, yanking him toward the door. "Pack a bag. You're leaving. Tonight." The rain started as Austin shoved clothes into a duffel. Jeans, a hoodie, the sketchbook where he'd drawn dreams of skylines and safe harbors. Clara's old station wagon keys jingled in his pocket. She'd left them for emergencies. Elias stood in the living room, arms crossed, unmoving as stone. Go to your aunts. Tell her it's a fight, that you'll come back repentant. But don't come to me until you've cast this demon out. Austin paused at the door, rain lashing the windows like accusations. What about Mom? What about us? Elias's eyes softened for a flicker. Regret? Pity? Your mother's heart will break, but the Lord will mend it. As for us, pray for forgiveness, son. That's all I can offer now. The door closed behind Austin with a finality that echoed louder than thunder. He ran to the car, the downpour blinding him, wipers slapping futilely against the torrent. Willow Creek blurred past, the church steeple a dark sentinel, Jordan's house a distant glow he couldn't bear to approach. He drove south, toward the highway, the only direction that felt like escape. Miles melted into hours, the radio crackling with static and country ballads about lost love. Austin pulled over at a rest stop near the Kansas border, engine ticking cool, body racked with sobs that shook the car. His phone buzzed. Jordan. Where are you? I'm coming. Then Clara, Elias called. Oh, baby, come home. But home was a lie now, a locked door in the rain. He texted Jordan back. Can't. Too dangerous. Love you. Always. Then powered off. The screen's glow dying like his illusions. The duffel held his life. Sketches of buildings that soared, free from gravity's pull. A photo of him and Elias fishing at the creek. Smiles wide and untroubled. Jordan's guitar pick, tucked in a pocket like a talisman. Dawn broke gray and sodden as Austin crossed into Oklahoma, the flatlands giving way to hills that whispered of new horizons. He had $47 in his wallet, a half-tank of gas, and a heart mapped with fault lines. Willow Creek faded in the rearview, but the rain's rhythm stayed with him, a dirge for the boy he'd been, a prelude to the man he'd have to become. The first year was survival, raw and unrelenting, a gauntlet of bus stations and back-alley diners where Austin learned the weight of solitude. He landed in Tulsa, drawn by the city's pulse, a sprawl of oil money and Art Deco spires that promised reinvention. Crashing on a park bench the first night, he woke to the rumble of semis and the kindness of a street vendor who slipped him a stale bagel with a nod. Rough night, kid, keep your chin up. Tulsa became his reluctant harbor, its humid summers and twangy accents wrapping around him like a bandage over a wound that wouldn't close. He found work bussing tables at a greasy spoon called Ma's Kitchen, where the owner, a wiry woman named Dolores with tattoos peeking from her sleeves, saw the hollows in his cheeks and the shadows under his eyes. You runnin' from something? She asked one shift, sliding him a plate of biscuits and gravy. Austin nodded, throat tight. Family stuff. She didn't pry, just handed him an apron. We all got ghosts here. Work, am off. The tips were meager, but they bought ramen and bus fare to community college, where Austin enrolled in drafting classes, his sketchbook a lifeline to dreams deferred. Nights were the hardest. In a rented room above a laundromat, $200 a month, walls thin as promises, Austin would lie awake, the hum of dryers below syncing with his pulse. He'd replay the expulsion in loops, Elias's face twisting from love to loathing, the rain's cold slap, Jordan's unanswered texts piling up like unanswered prayers. He wrote letters he never sent, one to Clara, begging forgiveness for the pain he caused, another to Jordan, pouring out the ache of absence, how every stranger's laugh echoed his. But the postmark would lead them back to Willow Creek, to Elias's scrutiny, So he burned them instead, ashes swirling in the sink like failed confessions. Community college was salvation wrapped in graph paper. Professor Harlan, a grizzled vet with a limp and a passion for Frank Lloyd Wright, spotted Austen's talent in the first critique. Boy, you've got Wright's organic flow, buildings that breathe with the land. But what's eaten your lines? Fear. Austen shrugged, but Harlan pulled him aside after class. Architecture's about structure, kid. Build yours strong, or it'll crumble. Under Harlan's wing, Austen bloomed, knights hunched over blueprints, dreaming cathedrals of glass and steel that defied gravity, safe spaces where light poured in without judgment. It was Harlan who nudged him toward the scholarship at Kansas City Art Institute, a full ride for emerging talents. Go. Willow Creek's a rearview town. The world's your canvas. Austen hesitated, roots, even severed. Tug hard. But Jordan's ghost whispered go, and Elias's silence screamed louder. He packed the duffel again, lighter now, and boarded the Greyhound west, the prairie unspooling like a promise. Kansas City hit like a revelation. Skyscrapers clawing the sky, jazz clubs pulsing with bass that vibrated in his chest, a queer undercurrent thrumming in the bars of Westport. Austen dove in, tentative at first, a drag show where glittery queens lip-synced Madonna, their winks invitations to exhale. He met Theo there, a barista with a mohawk and a laugh like summer thunder, who became his first fumbling foray into post-Jordan intimacy. Theo's apartment smelled of patchouli and coffee grounds, their nights a tangle of limbs and laughter, but Austen's heart stayed locked, Jordan's name a shadow on his tongue. The Institute sharpened him. Studios echoed with critiques. Too timid. Hail. Make it bold. Professors pushed modernism's clean lines, sustainability's green ethos. But Austen infused his designs with humanism, spaces that cradled vulnerability, like a library nook curved for whispered secrets or a park pavilion open to the stars. His thesis project, a community center for LGBTQ youth, won accolades. A sanctuary in steel and soul, the jury said. Internships followed at a boutique firm downtown, where he rose fast, his eye for detail turning strip malls into vibrant hubs. By 22, Austen was Austen Hale, architect, junior partner, featured in Midwest Design Quarterly, his name on plaques from Omaha lofts to St. Louis galleries. Success was a armor, polished and impenetrable, but cracks showed in quiet moments. A country song on the radio twisting the knife, a church spire piercing the skyline like accusation. He dated sporadically Ethan the lawyer, too buttoned up. Marcus the musician, too much like Jordan but none stuck. You're holding out for a ghost, Theo told him over beers one night, and Austen didn't deny it. Then, the call came from Willow Creek. Clara's voice, frail over the line. Austen, honey, it's Mom. The church is falling apart. Roof leaks like a sieve, foundations cracking from the frost heaves. Elias, your father, he's stepping down. Health's not what it was. The board wants a redesign, something modern but respectful. They saw your name in the paper, thought, maybe you'd consider. Austen's grip tightened on the phone, the city noise fading to a roar in his ears. Return to the place that birthed and banished him? Mom. I don't know. Her pause was a lifetime. He's changed, Austen. We're trying to. Please. For me. He hung up, staring at the skyline from his loft window. glass towers reflecting a fractured self. Jordan's face flickered in memory, older now, but unchanged. Had he stayed? Married some girl from youth group? Kids in tow? The thought curdled, but curiosity and that tug of blood won. He emailed the board. Hale Designs is interested. Initial consult next month. The drive back was a pilgrimage in reverse. Cornfields mocking his progress. Willow Creek hadn't changed. Same water tower, same single stoplight, same steeple piercing the flat horizon. But Austin had taller, sharper jaw, suits tailored to his frame, a portfolio case like a shield. He checked into the motel on the edge of town, avoiding Main Street's gossip mill. Clara met him at the diner, arms open before he could brace. She looked older, lines etched by worry, but her hug was the same, lavender and home. "My boy," she whispered, holding tight. Over coffee, the years spilled, Elias's stroke 2 winters back, slurring sermons until he retired, the congregation splintering, youth fleeing to cities, her own quiet rebellion, volunteering at the county LGBTQ support group. "I never stopped loving you, Austin." Or him, Jordan. "He asks after you. You know." Austin's spoon clattered. "Jordan? He's here." Clara nodded. "I soft. Stayed on after you left. Teaches music at the high school now. Married for a spell, but it didn't take. Divorced last year. Lives above the old Ellis place. The floodgates cracked. That night, Austin walked the tracks behind the church, gravel crunching under polished shoes. The building loomed, weathered brick crying for mercy, peeling paint, sagging gutters, a metaphor for the family within. He sketched by flashlight, sweeping arches of reclaimed wood, stained glass reimagined with prisms of color, a narthex that welcomed wanderers. But his hand trembled, lines blurring with what-ifs. The consult was set for morning. Elias waited in the fellowship hall, diminished, thinner, cane at his side, eyes shadowed but clear. Austin, the name hung, not son, but a bridge. "Thank you for coming," Austin nodded, throat dry. "For the job, Dad." "Not us, not yet." They toured the space, Elias's limp echoing off empty pews. "It's dying," he admitted, voice rough. "Like I almost did. The stroke made me see things. Sins of omission, mostly." A pause, heavy. "I was wrong, son. About you. About love." The words landed soft, a rain without thunder. Austin searched his father's face, regret etched deep. "But was it enough? You threw me out. In the storm. Like trash." Elias winced, leaning on his cane. "I know. Feared losing the flock more than you. Pride, the deadliest sin. Forgive me? Not yet," Austin thought. "Let's focus on the plans." As he measured walls, ghosts stirred. Outside, a figure leaned against a truck, tall, familiar, guitar case in hand. Jordan. Older, laugh lines framing those gray eyes, hair still wild. He straightened, smile tentative. "Heard you were back." Town's buzzing. Austin's heart stuttered. "Jordan. God, you look like hell. Or heaven," Jordan quipped, stepping closer. The air crackled, years dissolving in the space between. They talked on the steps. Words tumbling. Jordan's failed marriage to appease his ma. The ache of Austin's absence. Songs written but unsung. "I never stopped," Jordan said, voice low. "Loving you," Austin's resolve frayed. "Me neither. But this place. It broke us. Not forever." Jordan's hand brushed his, a spark in the dusk. That night, over bourbon in Jordan's cramped apartment, walls papered with sheet music, air thick with pine and memory, they kissed. Slow, exploratory, like mapping old trails. Jordan's touch was surer, Austin's hungrier, bodies remembering what minds had buried. "Stay," Jordan murmured against his skin. "Redesign more than bricks." But dawn brought reality. The project demanded weeks, months, Austin commuting, Jordan teaching, Elias lurking with unspoken amends. Whispers started, the prodigal son, the pastor's shame. A deacon cornered Austin at the hardware store. Fancy designs won't fix what's rotten in the soul. Conflict brewed. Elias pushed for traditional elements. Crosses prominent. No frivolous rainbows. Austin resisted. His youth center vision bleeding into the sanctuary. Open spaces for dialogue, not dogma. "This is for everyone, Dad. Including me." Jordan became his confidant. Stolen lunches in the park where they'd once dreamed. But betrayal loomed. Elias, in a moment of frailty, confessed to the board Austin's past sins, framing it as caution. Leaks spread. Headlines in the local rag. Hometown hero or harlot. Jordan defended him fiercely, but the town turned. Petitions to halt the redesign. The backlash hit like a prairie twister, swift and merciless, uprooting the fragile progress Austin had clawed from the dirt. Petitions circulated at the feed store and beauty parlor. Signatures from folks who'd once clapped at his youth recitals, now crossed with fervor. "Keep Christ in our church, not sin." The local paper, Willow Creek Gazette, ran a front-page spread. Prodigal architect's plans spark Holy Row, complete with a grainy photo of Austin sketching on the church steps. Jordan's truck blurred in the background like an accomplice. Elias called an emergency board meeting, his voice over speakerphone trembling. "Son, they're saying we need to pause. The donors are pulling out." Austin paced his motel room, phone hot against his ear. The sketchbook splayed open to a half-finished nave. Vaulted ceilings like open arms. Pews curved in invitation. "Pause, Dad? This isn't about donors. It's about dragging this place into the light. Or are you scared again?" The line went silent, then a sigh like wind through cracked eaves. "I'm trying, Austin. But some bridges burn too deep." Jordan showed up an hour later. Rain slicked from a sudden squall. Bearing takeout from Ma's, all-day breakfast. Hash browns crisp as their youth. He didn't knock, just let himself in, dropping the bag on the rickety table. Heard about the petitions. Town halls tomorrow, fireworks. His eyes, those storm-gray anchors, held steady. "You fighting this?" Austin sank onto the bed, head in hands. "What choice? Walk away again? Let them win." Jordan crossed the room in 2 strides, pulling him up, thumbs brushing jawline stubble. "You don't walk. You build. We build." Their kiss was fierce, a rebuttal to the world's narrowness, teeth and tongue, hands fisting shirts, tumbling back onto the sagging mattress. Jordan's body was solid, earned by years of hauling hay and strumming strings, a map of freckles Austin traced like constellations. "You're mine," Jordan growled into his collarbone, and Austin believed it, if only for the night. Morning brought the town hall, packed tighter than a Christmas Eve service. The fellowship hall smelled of coffee and resentment, folding chairs scraping as folks settled, farmers in flannel, church ladies with pearls clutched like rosaries. Mayor Hargrove, a barrel-chested relic with a comb-over, banged a gavel scavenged from God knows where. Order, we're here to discuss the church redesign. Pro Mr. Hale Jr. Con, Pastor Hale Sr. Elias rose first, cane thumping like a heartbeat. He looked frail under the harsh fluorescence, but his voice carried the old fire. Folks, I've shepherded this flock 30 years. The building needs mending, true. But Austin's plans, they stray from our roots. Open altars, colors that scream pride. This ain't evolution, it's erosion of faith. Murmurs rippled, nods from the old guard, frowns from younger faces, a few kids from Jordan's music class shifting uncomfortably. Austin stood, suit crisp against the sea of denim, portfolio under arm. Dad, Pastor Hale, roots don't mean stagnation. They mean growth. My designs honor the brick, the bell, but add welcome, a community wing for all youth, families, anyone seeking shelter. He unrolled blueprints on the easel, lines leaping like promises. Gasps echoed at the renderings. Glass walls filtering prairie light into rainbows on oak floors. A garden atrium blooming with native wildflowers. This church threw me out once. In the rain. For loving wrong. In your eyes. But love builds. Doesn't destroy. The room froze. His words a thunderclap. Eyes darted to Elias. Ashen. To Clara. Tears brimming. To Jordan. In the back row. Fist clenched in solidarity. A deacon sputtered, "That's ancient history, boy." And unnatural, but a voice cut through Ms. Ramirez, the librarian, who'd slipped Austin books on right in high school. Unnatural? Hiding kids in shame is what's unnatural. I've seen your sketches, Austin. They're holy. Debate erupted. Voices overlapping like a badly tuned choir. Jordan slipped out midway, texting Austin, "Got your back. See you after." But as the vote loomed, board split 4-4. Tiebreaker Elias, the pastor wavered, eyes on his son. "I abstain. Let the architect speak for himself." Passed, barely, 5-4 with proxies. Cheers from half, boos from the other. Austin exhaled, the air tasting of victory laced with ash. Outside, rain pattered soft. A bomb. Jordan waited by his truck, leaning casual but eyes alight. "Proud of you, Hale." That took guts. They drove to the creek, tires churning mud. Parking where willows wept over water. Blankets spread on the bank. They ate sandwiches from the diner, feet dangling in the current. Jordan strummed air guitar, humming an old tune. "Remember this spot? First time I kissed you, behind that big rock. Scared shitless of snakes." Austin laughed. Genuine, the sound rusty. "And your mom calling you for supper. Thought we'd been caught." Shadows lengthened, the sun dipping gold. Jordan set the guitar aside, real this time, fetched from the cab and played soft, fingers dancing melancholy. "Wrote this for you. After you left." The melody wove ache and hope. Lyrics whispered. "Rain on the roof. Heart in the road / chasen your shadow through fields of gold." Austin's chest tightened, tears pricking. Why'd you stay here without me? Jordan's strum faltered. Hoped you'd come back. And someone had to fight the good fight for the kids like us. He set the instrument down, pulling Austin close. Their lovemaking was unhurried, reverent. Rain misting their skin, the creeks murmur a chorus. Jordan's hands knew him still, eliciting gasps that mingled with birdsong. Afterward, tangled in the blanket, Austin traced Jordan's wedding ring scar, faded white. Tell me about her. Jordan sighed, skyward. Lila. Sweet girl. But it was camouflage. We both knew. Divorced, amicable, no kids. She lives in Lincoln now, happy with a graphic designer. A chuckle. Irony. Ha! Austin propped on elbow, studying him. You deserve happy too. I got it. Right here. Jordan's kiss sealed it. But doubt lingered. Austin's life in Kansas City. The project's demands. Elias's half apologies. Weeks blurred into blueprint frenzy. Austin's team arrived. Young architects from the firm, laptops humming in the church basement. They stripped plaster, revealing original beams scarred by time, much like the family. Elias hovered, offering coffee and critiques. Too much glass, folks'll freeze. But he watched Austin work, a quiet awe softening his edges. One evening, as sawdust swirled, Elias handed him a worn Bible. Marked the passages I preached wrong. Ezekiel 16 about redemption, not rejection. Austin flipped pages, highlighter bleeding yellow. Why now, Dad? Stroke showed me my foundation was cracked. Lost you, nearly lost Clara. Can't lose the church too, a beat. Or you. The thaw was tentative. Dinners at the parsonage. Clara's pot roast a bridge. Stories exchanged. Austin's city triumphs. Elias's pulpit failures. Jordan joined sometimes. The four of them a fragile quartet. Laughter tentative but real. Yet undercurrents pulled. The deacon faction simmered. Anonymous notes slipped under doors. Sodom's architect, repent or resign. Jordan found one in Austin's truck. Touch my boy again, and God won't save you. Fear crept in. Austin doubled locks. Jordan taught him self-defense in the gym, punches thrown at shadows. They're cowards, Jordan said, spotting Austin's form. But we don't bend. Intimacy deepened. Nights in Jordan's apartment a refuge. Candles flickering on sheet music. Bodies sinking like a duet. Jordan's vulnerability emerged. Nightmares of Austin leaving again. Confessions of therapy sessions post-divorce. Thought I'd never feel this. Whole. Austin held him through it, whispering vows against sweat-damp skin. I'm here. Building with you, but betrayal brewed in the quiet. Elias, seeking to protect the flock, leaked a modified blueprint to the Gazette, traditional crosses amplified. Austin's rainbow prisms cropped out. The headline screamed, Pastor compromises for unity. Austin saw it at the site, coffee spilling from numb fingers. You did this? He confronted, voice steel. Elias blanched. It was to save the project, son. They threatened shutdown. By erasing me? Again, hurt flared to rage. I trusted you. Jordan arrived midstorm, pulling Austin away. Let him stew. We'll fix it. But the damage spread, team morale dipped, donors balked. Austin worked late, redesigning alone. lines jagged with fury. Climax shattered on a Friday gale, winds howling like the night of expulsion. The crew had poured concrete for the atrium foundation. Sabotage struck. Deacon Harlan, no relation to his prof, drunk on moonshine and malice, tampering with rebar, weakening the pour. As the mixer rumbled, the slab cracked, collapsing in a roar of dust and gravel. Austin, directing from the edge, lunged to shove a worker clear, timber glancing his temple, blood warm on his cheek. Chaos. Sirens wailing, Elias praying frantic over the radio. Jordan burst through, scooping Austin up, face ashen. "Talk to me, babe," at the ER. Stitches and scans, concussion, bruises, but whole. Clara sobbed in the hall. Elias paced, Kane forgotten. "You're lucky," the doc said. "Could have been worse." Jordan's grip was iron. "Family's here. We're not losing you." But Austin's eyes burned. Family or liability? The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and wilted carnations, the beeps of monitors a metronome to Austin's throbbing skull. Sunlight slanted through blinds, gilding the four-stand, but the light felt mocking, too bright for the shadows coiling in his chest. Jordan sat vigil, chair pulled close, one hand enveloping Austin's, thumb tracing circles like a rosary of reassurance. "You scared the hell out of me," he murmured, voice rough from disuse. "Thought I'd lost you before I even got you back." Austin squeezed back, wincing at the pull of stitches. "Takes more than a slab of concrete to bury me." Humor, brittle as the pain meds wearing off. But beneath it, fury simmered, the sabotage, Elias's leak, the town's venom seeping like groundwater. Harlan's in custody. Confessed. Said it was God's will to stop the abomination. Jordan's jaw tightened. Coward's way. Boards expelling him. Elias leading the charge. A pause. Eyes searching. "Your dad. He's wrecked." Blames himself. Austin turned to the window, prairie stretching endless. "He should. This place chews up difference. Spits out bones." Yet Clara's face flickered, tear-streaked, pleading, and Elias's Bible, passages underlined in trembling hand. Forgiveness dangled, a carrot in the storm. Discharge came midday, Jordan bundling him into the truck, Clara trailing with soup thermos. The parsonage welcomed soft, Clara's quilts, Elias in the kitchen, apron askew, stirring oatmeal like penance. "Sit, son." His voice cracked. "I. The leak was my sin. Thought compromise would heal. But it wounded deeper." Austin eased into a chair, Jordan hovering protective. "Why, Dad? I was opening up, letting you in. And you shut the door again." Elias sank opposite, hands folding arthritic. "Fear. Of losing everything, the church, my legacy." But legacy's ash without love. Tears tracked his cheeks, unashamed. "I threw you out that night because I couldn't face my own doubts. What if the Lord's grace extended further than I preached? The stroke stripped illusions, saw my life as facade. Forgive an old fool." The room held breath. Austin searched those eyes, once thunder, now tempests calmed. Jordan's hand on his shoulder grounded, Clara's nod a gentle push. I'll try. But it means all in, no half measures." Elias nodded fervent. "All in. Rebuild accelerated. Cathartic. Crew returned bolstered, locals trickling to volunteer MS. Ramirez hauling lumber, youth group kids painting under Jordan's tunes. Austin directed from a stool, temple bandaged like a crown of thorns. Designs evolving, the atrium now a phoenix, reinforced with steel woven like veins, glass etched with verses of inclusion. Love thy neighbor, refracted in spectrum. Jordan wove through it all. His music the site's soundtrack, guitar riffs lifting hammers, harmonies binding fractures. Evenings, they'd retreat to the creek, blueprints forgotten, bodies reclaiming time lost. One dusk, fireflies pulsing like errant stars. Jordan knelt, not proposal, but offering, a ring from his pocket, silver band etched with a tiny skyline. Not marriage, not yet, but promise. Build with me, Austin. Here, or city, or road, tears stung. Yes, God, yes, they made love under the willows, slow and sacred, the world fading to touch and whisper. But conflict crested again, betrayals echo. The Gazette, hungry for scandal, dug Austin's city indiscretions, whispers of Theo and Marcus twisted to tabloid fodder. Architects' loose morals threatened sacred site. It landed mid-pour, crew halting, ice sliding. A donor pulled funding, citing moral hazard. Austin confronted the editor, a weasel named Pruitt in a fedora too small for his ego. This is libel. Print a retraction. Or sue. Pruitt smirked, cigarette dangling. Truth hurts. Boy. Town's got a right to know who holds the hammer. Jordan, overhearing from the hall, stormed in, fist connecting with desk. Not face. Print that, and you're printing your obituary. Security dragged him out, but the damage festered. Elias rallied the board. Pulpit thundering Sunday. Gossips the devil's graffiti. Judge not, lest ye be judged. Donations surged. But Austin cracked. Knights pacing Jordan's floor. Sketches crumpled. Why fight? They win every time. Jordan pulled him down. Fierce. Because we rewrite the story. You, me, this damn church. Climax brewed in the storm season. Thunderheads rolling like divine wrath. The final beam raising, crane humming. Crew in harnesses when lightning split the sky. Wind shearing the rig. Cables snapped. Beam swinging wild toward the scaffold where Austin directed. Jordan, spotting it, shoved him clear, steel glancing his leg. Bone crunch audible over gale. Screams. Rain blinding. Austin crawled through mud, cradling Jordan's head. Blood slick on denim. Stay with me, God. Please. Sirens wailed distant. Elias and Clara bursting from the church. Prayers frantic. Again. Fluorescent hell. Fractured tibia. Surgery lights green. Austin waited. Elias's hand tentative on his shoulder. He saved you. Like grace. Hours later, Jordan woke groggy. Morphine-slurred grin. Told you. I'm your anchor. Austin wept, kissing knuckles. Don't scare me like that. Town shifted. Harlan's trial exposed the rot. Deacons resigning in shame. Volunteers swelled. Youth painting murals of diverse hands clasped. The Gazette retracted. Pruitt fired. Healing mirrored the build. Jordan's cast became canvas, kids' drawings, Austin's blueprints. Elias led a dedication prayer. Voice steady. This house for all seekers. No outcasts. but depth lingered in quiet. One night, stars pricking velvet, Austin and Jordan on the new atrium roof, glass below reflecting candlelight from below. "Betrayal taught me," Austin said. "Trust earned, not given." Jordan nodded, cane propped. "And love is the redesign." The church rose reborn, a testament etched in beam and mortar, its spire no longer sentinel but beacon, angled to catch dawn's first blush, flooding the nave with prisms that danced like confetti on hallowed ground. Dedication day dawned crisp, October air laced with leaf smoke and anticipation, Willow Creek swelling with strangers, journalists from Omaha, architects from Austin's firm, families from neighboring towns drawn by the buzz of redemption. Banners fluttered, grace renewed. "Welcome all," and the bell tolled not judgment, but joy. Austin stood at the threshold in a suit of midnight blue, Jordan beside him, cane traded for a subtle limp that spoke of battles won. The scar on his leg ached in the chill, a badge beside Austin's faded temple mark, twin wounds, twin warriors. Clara fussed with their ties, eyes bright. "My boys, look at you." Elias approached, Bible in hand, but no sermon script. This was heart, not rote. "Proud, son, of the man, the work." The service swelled, choir voices soaring under vaulted wood, Jordan's guitar weaving secular hymns with sacred. Austin's community wing unveiled. Rooms for counseling, art studios for youth, a quiet garden labyrinth for contemplation. No crosses domineering, instead, subtle weaves in tile, invitations to weave one's own faith. Postludes spilled into potluck, tables groaning under jello salads and fried chicken, laughter bubbling freer. Ms. Ramirez cornered Austin. "You built more than walls, dear. You built belonging." A kid from Jordan's class, shy with braces, slipped him a drawing, two figures under rainbow glass. "For the heroes." As dusk purpled, the crowd thinned, leaving the core, Hales and Ellis, blood and chosen. They climbed to the bell tower, stairs spiraling like ascent, the view unfurling, cornfields gilded, town lights winking tentative. Elias leaned on rail, wind ruffling silver hair. "Remember the night? Rain like judgment." Austin nodded, arm around Jordan. "Felt like end. Was beginning." Elias's voice softened. "I failed you then. But watching you rise, forged in fire, unbowed. That's grace." Tears pricked. Austin pulled him into embrace, first in years awkward, then anchoring. "Love you, Dad. Flaws and all." Jordan cleared throat, grin crooked. "Room for one more sinner up here?" They laughed, the sound carrying on breeze. Months folded gentle. Austin split time, Kansas City for firm duties, Willow Creek for oversight, Jordan's apartment a gravitational pull. They traveled, Chicago weekends, hands linked in museums, bodies tangled in hotels overlooking lakes. Jordan's music bloomed, album recorded in the church studio, tracks raw with their story, rain-washed roads, charting expulsion to embrace. Betrayal's scar faded, but lessons lingered. Austin mentored at the youth center, sharing sketches and scars. Design your life bold. Cracks let light in. One boy, wide-eyed with his own secrets, whispered, "They won't throw me out?" Austin knelt. "Not here. Not anymore." Elias evolved, sermons shifting to parables of the marginalized. Alliances with Omaha's queer clergy. A stroke scare brought clarity. Hospice talks. Legacy not in stone, but seeds sown. Tell your kids, he told Austen one quiet supper. Grandpa learned late, but loved fierce. Jordan proposed proper on a spring equinox. Creekside under full moon, ring simple, gold band with inset sapphire. Jordan's eyes. Marry me, Austen Hale. Let's architect forever. Knees muddied. Austen yes, sealed with kiss tasting of wild onions and wonder. Wedding wove the threads. Church sanctuary. Of course. Aisles lined with wildflowers. Guests at tapestry, city colleagues in loafers. Town folk in sundresses. Theo toasting with wink. Knew you were holding for the real deal. Elias officiated. Voice steady. In sight of creation. Two souls bind. Not despite storms. But through them. Vows echoed. Austen's. You caught me falling. Held me rising. Jordan's. Our designs unfinished. Endless rooms for us. Honeymoon in the Smokies. Cabins with views of mist-shrouded peaks. Days hiking trails etched like veins. Nights slow and exploratory. Mapping new contours. Think we'll have kids? Jordan mused one dawn. Coffee steaming. Austen traced his chest. Adopt. Maybe. Teach him to build bridges. Not burn him. Back home. Life layered. Austen's firm expanded. Jordan's tours local but soulful. Elias's health waned, but Clara's garden bloomed defiant. The church thrived, weddings diverse, forums frank, a haven etched in Austen's lines. Years spun, first anniversary, creek picnic with cake smuggled from Ma's. Jordan's cast-off guitar pick, framed beside their rings. Elias's passing gentle, bedside hymns, Austen's hand in his final whisper, well done, son. Enter joy, grief bowed them, but bent not break. Funeral sermon Austen's, words of a father redeemed. Jordan's arms steal through it. Decade-marked milestone. Church expansion. Youth wing named Hale Ellis Haven. Standing on fresh steps, Austen surveyed glass gleaming, prisms eternal. Jordan, grayer at temples, squeezed his hand. We did this, not we. Us, kiss soft, crowd cheering below. In twilight's hush, Austen sketched still, now family portraits, cribs in sunlit rooms. Two boys came later, adopted from foster fray, Eli, fiery with Elias's eyes, Jude, quiet strummer like Dad. They chased fireflies in the atrium, laughter echoing hallowed. One storm night, thunder rumbling distant, Austen held Jordan close, kids asleep down hall. Remember the rain? Jordan smiled into dark. Best storm ever. Washed us clean. Humanity's arc bent slow, but bent. Willow Creek whispered change. Churches nationwide citing grace as model. Austen keynote conferences. Voice steady. Architecture of the soul, open doors. Mended roofs. Legacy lived not in accolades, but eyes lit, kids unafraid. Fathers humbled. Love's unapologetic. In the end, not tragic nor flawless triumph, but human. Flawed hearts forging light from deluge. Rain yielding rainbows. Grace, indeed redesigned.